Welcome to MJ's Art Law, a definite trend here. Well, one of the things I didn't mention earlier, and it's kind of an interesting fact, is Robert Rodriguez is out of Houston Access. He's out of this very facility, except when we used to be in the Montrose. Now we're kind of behind downtown in old Chinatown.
Yes.
But he's actually out of this. He edited El Mariachi with the equipment that Houston Access had. So he's a filmmaker, but he came out of this television facility, and so did Richard Linklater, who was also nominated for an Oscar this year. So there is like you were saying earlier, there's not much difference between the television and the film, the background on that.
Yeah, that's very true. And Robert Rodriguez is actually a hero of mine because he's such a savvy filmmaker and he's doing such incredible work. And what's great about him is he's able to do it from where he wants to be in Austin versus out in Hollywood and La La Land. So it's really great.
Are you a member of a union?
No, I'm not.
You don't have to be with the way that you're working because you're working from city to city, or I don't know the answer. Why don't you have to be a union member?
Well, in television it works differently. For one thing, here in Texas, this is a right-to-work state, of course. So if productions do come through here or whatever, you don't have to have a union card to do that. Now, you can't always say that. Like I've done a lot of union productions in New York City where union rules do apply on certain in certain instances. So it just varies from production to production. But if you're a producer and you live in a state like Texas, North Carolina is another right-to-work state, very popular for production work. If you live in a state like that, you really don't need a union card. You know, you wouldn't need to pay union dues, which can be very expensive.
Sure.
Why would you want to do that if you don't have to? So that's why, you know, most producers don't.
So what is the big difference? You've worked in both cable and broadcast. What is the big difference between, say, Houston Access and PBS versus if I'm a producer and I want to come over to your side and play in the commercial world, what do I have to bring with me?
Well, you know, I think that probably the biggest difference is that there's a lot of pressure to get ratings when you're dealing with commercial television.
Okay.
Just by definition, what commercial TV is you have a lot of advertisers out there who are paying money, big money, to reach as many people as they can and to reach a very specific audience. And so what you really have to do as a producer is deliver that audience to those advertisers if you want to stay on the air and you want to stay employed. So you have to really use a lot of creative savvy to find a way to reach the audience that you want to find, to draw them in, and to maintain that audience.
Okay. So you briefly mentioned that you really are not a big fan, I suppose I should say, of reality TV, which seems to be all the rage right now. It seems that if you can make a good reality TV show, you're going to draw the audience in. But the downside is,
well, reality TV, you're going to get me on my soapbox, and I could go on and on about
2 seconds. That's all you get, Michael.
Oh, no. Well, with reality TV, you could do a whole show on the pros and cons of reality TV. It is a huge trend, and the reason it's such a big trend, of course, is that if you look at the demographic that most advertisers want out there in TV land, it's typically 18 to 24, 18 to 34-year-olds. That's the heart and soul of what advertisers want to reach and pay for. And that generation right now is the MTV generation. They grew up with the real world. They've really only known reality TV.
I see.
In many respects. And so the reason that all the studios and networks do reality TV is because it's so cheap to produce. It cuts a lot of costs. And so the reason that people like myself don't necessarily like reality TV, I mean, I have a few shows I'm a fan of, but the reason that most TV producers don't like it is because it's really cost a lot of people their jobs.
Yeah, I've heard that too. It's made a lot of unemployed.
There are a lot of writers, very creative writers, mind you, who could be doing incredible stuff, who have been kind of shut out because of this reality trend. And you know, I remember like at the Emmy Awards, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, when Gary Shandling was hosting, and he made a big joke about reality TV that, you know, all that television is reserved for special people, like, you know, stars and celebrities, not for real people. So they need to get rid of all these reality shows. And so he likes to poke fun at that too.
Okay, I see. All right, so the advice you would have, say I'm a producer, and I've got a show that I think is a winner, and how do I go about, if I wanted to approach, say, a cable company, or Fox, or CBS, or ABC, or any of those companies, what is your advice to me?
Well, you know, there's a lot of ways that you can go about it, and everything, of course, in this business starts with a big idea. And if you have a really big, original, creative idea that you think is going to fly, you could just go in there and just send in your idea. I wouldn't advise that.
Yeah, you might get it stolen. That's why.
Exactly. And out in Hollywood, it's very interesting. A lot of the networks, you know, E included, where I used to work, have sort of a policy that they won't even take pitches.
Sure.
Which, when you have an idea for a show, it's called a pitch.
Yes.
And they won't even take pitches unless they've first been registered with the WGA, which is the Writers Guild of America.
Okay.
And so you have to register your idea with them first, which it's only about $20, $30 to do that.
Okay.
You can even do it online, actually, I think at WGA.org.
Okay.
But you want to register that idea first and foremost so that you do have it protected.
Good information there. Okay.
And then there are a number of ways that you can, they have these things that they call Pitch Fest out in LA, where you can learn how to pitch. You know, if you do get an appointment with an executive,
yeah.
And you can go in there and you've got, you know, 5 minutes to sell your idea, you know, so you got to know how to do that. And somebody that I had the honor of interviewing, who's probably one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, who made quite a living at successfully making pitches, is Aaron Spelling. And Aaron Spelling created some of the classic TV that we've all grown up with and learned to love. And he was a master at pitching executives. He would go in there and he was a master at improv. So he really knew how to sort of sell to his audience.
Okay.
So what you can do is either arrange an interview, an appointment with an executive and do that, or you can do another route, which a lot of people do, is attend a conference that's held every year. It's called the NAPP conference. It's usually held in Las Vegas. And what they do there is you go in and it's like a trade show environment, and all these people have booths set up with potential shows, and all the executives, the distributors, all the power people in television go through there and they shop around and they shop for TV shows, and you're able to, you know, have all kinds of gimmicks that you can throw in there to try to get people's attention.
So it's like a big film festival, except the content here is television programming.
Exactly.
So the same kind of tactics you might use to get attention at a film festival, you could employ going to NAPD up in Vegas.
Absolutely. You know, it's not unheard of to see the, you know, Corona girls hanging out at the trade show table so that you can get all those guys to come over there.
Nice. Okay.